Okay, so this is question number 2 on the quiz that you just took. When it's looking for a greatest common factor, it means the biggest number that you can divide from each of these terms. It has to be something that you can take out of each of these. So if it doesn't come to you immediately, just start making a list. List 2 numbers that multiply to give you 24. So for example, you can have 1 and 24. You can have 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And then think about numbers that multiply to give you 40. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 doesn't go into 40, 4 and 10. Let's see, 5 and 8. I think that's good enough. Now the idea here is to see which of these numbers do they have in common. What is the biggest number that they both have? Now yes, they both have 2's, they both have 4's, and they both have 8's. But of that, which is the biggest number that they both have? The biggest number that they both have would be 8. Therefore, your GCF would be 8 as far as the numbers. But now they also have variables. This has an x, this has an x to the third. So this is just saying we have 1x, while this is saying we have 3 x's. Well, because this only has 1x, they only have that 1 in common. So it would be an x. 8x would be the GCF between 24x and 40x to the third. So, same idea here, number 3. List your numbers for 18. You have 1 and 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. List your numbers for 26. 1 and 26, 2 and 13. Now what is the biggest number that they have in common? The biggest number they have in common is 2. So your GCF is going to be a 2 as far as the numbers. But now they have 2 variables. They have x to the third and y, x squared and y to the fourth. Think of one variable at a time. So if we think of x to the third, that's the same thing as x times x times x. Well, let's look at the x over here. This has 2 x's. So the most that they have in common are 2 x's, or in other words, x squared. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The smallest exponent is the GCF. If they both have that same variable, the smallest exponent is that GCF. So if we look at y, this has 1y, while this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 y's. But they only have 1 y in common. So your GCF is 2x squared y. Again, the smallest exponent. So with this one, same idea. List the numbers, 1 and 2. Well, that's it for 2. This is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. The biggest number that they have in common is a 2. The smallest exponent for your variable is x to the fourth. So I didn't even have to list my x's. I just say, well, this has an x to the sixth, this has an x to the fourth. The 4 is the smaller one, therefore that's going to be my GCF. But this problem is a little different, because this one is not just asking us to find the GCF, but it's asking us to actually factor it. So in order to factor it, we need to divide this from each of those. So I'm going to rewrite this down here. 2x to the 6th minus 12x to the 4th. And I'm going to divide my GCF from each of those. Divide 2x to the 4th from each of those terms. Well, 2 divided by 2 goes away. When you're dividing like bases, you subtract your exponents. So x to the 6th over x to the 4th. Well, 6 minus 4 is 2. Now let's divide here. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. And then x to the 4th over x to the 4th is just 1. So this is the answer that we have left over. Just don't forget to put your GCF out in front of that. Hope that helps.